Welcome to the Behind the Art Inspiration podcast, a sneak peek into the studio practices of all types of artists, conversations for artists and fans of art who are sophisticated and savvy. I'm your host, Caroline Karp. Let's get to it. Well, hello, everyone. This is episode number 15 of the Behind the Art Inspiration podcast. In this episode, I'll be virtually traveling from my Safety Harbor, Florida studio due north to the studio to Charlottesville and into the studio of Tina Curtis. Well, how you doing, Tina?
Hello there. Thank you for having me, Caroline.
I'm so glad you decided to join me. So
Yes.
We were just talking, and I kind of wish we had already hit record because we were having a great conversation, and I learned so much, and you learned so much about me, and it was a nice back and forth. I hope we can continue it. But what I want to start with is you live in Charlottesville, Virginia. I might have bumbled that up in the introduction. But I want to talk about the piece that is right behind you, because you were telling me some really interesting things about it that maybe people who were, might not know about it.
Yeah.
So could you talk about it and the process of making it, and anything that you want to share about it would be great.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, people that are on my Instagram and, I do very few videos. And if I do, I certainly don't get a chance to discuss the kind of, process or, kind of where I'm at mentally to create a piece. And so I'd love to tell you about this piece behind me. This is, it's called Apocalypse. And I actually, I did this piece during the kind of tumultuous, not kind of, very, tumultuous time during the George Floyd. Sorry, I'm a bit, during the whole George Floyd incident, and just kind of the upheaval and the civil unrest and the anger and all of these big emotions that everyone was feeling, and I was feeling as well. And so my way of expressing that was through art, and is through art. And that's what this piece represents behind me. Most of my pieces are quite colorful, and lots of blues and pinks and that kind of thing. And this piece has been drained of its colors because of the kind of heavy atmosphere, at the time that I was creating this. And apocalypse, I think people think of like blowing up cars and, like bombs and this kind of thing. And but apocalypse actually means kind of a glimpse into the future. It's kind of so, most people assume it's a negative thing. And I think if you can take any kind of terrible situation and express that through art, that's something that's going to, on a greater scale, kind of add to the overall narrative of our time. And so, so this piece behind me, I actually hand drew. This is a Uni Posca pen. It's a kind of a fatty paint marker. And I just went in and I hand drew all of this behind me here. And while the color, the palette is quite simple and drained of its color, it's still a very complex situation. And there's still, there's definitely a lot of emotion in this one. And I think that can make some people uncomfortable. I think that especially if they're familiar with my work being very colorful, they don't know how to really, feel about it. So anyway, that's where I was, and kind of reflecting the time that we were experiencing.
Take me to the very, 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 very beginning of the piece. So do you start with the background and then you come on top? How does that? And then I kind of detect layering of drawing, and I also see some very fine fine lines in there that your fat marker, I don't think that can make that. But am I wrong?
Yeah, yeah. No, you're not wrong. So they come in all different sizes. So I don't have my full set
Okay.
available right here. So there's like a full set of sizes, much like paintbrushes. So they come in different tips. Yes, exactly. And so yeah, so you're definitely not imagining things. I use different thickness of marker for this piece. And yes, I do start with the backgrounds first.
And then do you do do you switch all around, or do you do the fat work first and then the fine work, or how does that happen?
You know, I think much like a genuine coral reef system, it definitely builds on itself. So so kind of taking that into play and having a more organic approach to it, I switch it up. So like I will start, well, so in this case, I did start with the thicker line work. That was my base kind of structure. And then I built on top of that. And I did go back in with some thick marker again for these pieces behind me here.
And you said coral reef.
Yes.
So behind you, is that coral reef? Like, is that your inspiration?
It is. Yes.
Okay.
And that's the inspiration between a lot of, I mean, with a lot of my work. You know, I started off as an interior design commissioned painter, so I did a lot of different kinds of artwork for design clients. And in 2017, I decided to kind of do my own thing. And so that own thing happened to be ocean inspired, which doesn't make too much sense because I'm from Chicago. So anytime people ask like, oh, you must be from the coast, you must be from some tropical place. I am not. So that can be funny to answer.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess that people paint things of, you know, what they love and what somehow it's inspiring you. You know, somehow.
Yeah, definitely. I know it's coming out of me and I'm not trying to fight it. I'm just kind of letting it flow through me. And I try not to overthink it, you know, so I typically don't sketch out my work. Actually, I never sketch out my work. So in fact, I did a mural recently and it was the first time that I'd ever sketched something first. So, which I happen to sketch with this marker right here.
Right. So you were in effect painting it straight on the wall.
I definitely was. Yeah. Yeah. So, and you know, I mean, I'm afforded that because it's a abstract organic, you know, thing. There's no letters, right? There were no letter work. I mean, if there were letter work, I'd have the rulers out and the, you know, the grids and all that. But it was really such a great opportunity to let it, you know, flow and for them to trust me with that, you know, that process.
Right. So I think I remember seeing the mural on Instagram. Is that the one that was going up the stairs?
Yes. Yes.
That was really gorgeous.
Thank you very much. Yeah. And
how did they find you?
I went into their shop. I went into their shop and it's a Miami style eatery. So Guajiros, Charlottesville. If you're ever in Charlottesville, definitely check them out. And I wouldn't do a mural for any place that I didn't, you know, I didn't love or like or, you know, would recommend. So, so I went in there and it was like a weekend and I had, you know, breakfast and it was very, very good. And, you know, the people that work there I connected with and they just welcomed me and they said yes. You know, my goal for 2020 was to do a mural and I actually achieved that within days of you know, the new year. And so, you know, feeling very grateful for that opportunity and for their trust in my creative process. And they just gave me the wall and they said, go for it. And so, yeah.
So you have some beautiful photos on Instagram of you and your two boys. And the ones in particular that I'm talking about are when they're like carrying your stool across the grass.
Oh, yeah.
And it just brings back memories to when my two boys would go around with me and help me carry my materials. Like I have
Yeah.
photographs of them with one of them with the backpack of paint on their back and the other one carrying the canvas, because I used to travel, like we would travel together and I would just set up shop and paint. Do you also plein air paint, or is that?
I do.
You
Yes,
do.
I do plein air paint. I do. And it's interesting because I think when people assume that you're plein air painting, that you're painting what you're seeing outside. And
Exactly.
obviously that isn't the case for me, because I'd have to have a scuba suit on or something. No, but it's all about being outside for me. And yeah, and obviously the colors can still affect my work, the
Absolutely.
greens, the greens are there, and the blues, and all the same colors you find in the ocean. So yeah, so the colors and being outside definitely affects my work. And so yeah, I do love to plein air paint.
And how about your boys? Like, do they inspire any of your work? Maybe the playfulness?
Yeah, I mean, I have a really great video of them critiquing one of my pieces. And what's great about it is I should find that video, but they're taking their own kind of up until this point life experiences and putting it to words, talking about their mom's art. And it's just a really great candid video. So they definitely see me painting. They definitely are part of the process, and they have influenced my work. I had a piece where I had an all-white background, and my son Sawyer said, "Mom, you can't leave that background like that." And I was like, you're right, So I took his advice and put in a blue background, and he was right. So I listen to them. I respect them. They respect, that mom's an artist, and it's just a great, when they tell their friends that their mom's an artist, and just the way they say it, it just makes it all, great.
Yeah, and it reminds me of driving to school every day, because the boys grew up going to the same school I happened to be teaching at. And every day we drove over the bridge of Tampa Bay. And just that drive over the bridge really is in my work. You'll see it in the sky, in my skies that I paint. But anyways, so we would play this game of what colors do you see? Like, let's look at the sky. What colors do you see this morning? Because, I've come to find that not everybody sees all the colors. They think that the sky is blue, but you know what? The sky oftentimes is many different colors, just depending.
Yeah.
And also the water is different colors too. I mean, like, because it's affected by the sky. You can be watching the water, and at first when you're looking at the water, it's golden. But as the sun is setting, it turns purple. And so we used to play that game.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. What colors do you see? Can you describe that?
I love that. That's great. Yeah. The fact that you, so we had talked before recording, about the fact that you teach small children, and how how your art, your art experiences, are, what's the word I'm looking for?
It could be playful.
Yeah. That, you're inspiring them to create their own art. And I think that's great. And I too do the same. I have a small homeschool, and so our art projects, they've definitely inspired some of my work as well. Just kind of their different visions, and their childlike approach to art making, which is infectious. And
have you let them use your fun markers?
I haven't yet. I haven't let them use the paint markers, only because they're permanent, and we're renting. So like if it was my house or my studio, I'd be like, sure. But that's why. But yes,
Yeah.
I do let them use my acrylics. In fact, when we paint in school, they're using my paints, not giving them kitty paints. So they like that.
One of my favorite things to do is get a giant piece of mural paper, kind of bigger than the thing behind me, and just let them go with all the
Yeah,
materials and see what happens.
yeah,
It's
yeah, definitely.
amazing.
It is amazing, and I've taught a few workshops as well for children and adults, and I actually love making art with other people because the way in which the lenses in which they view art and the approach to it is so varied and special per person that I encourage anyone who's never even dreamed of picking up any kind of art to just try it. Just do it, because you don't know what's going to come out, and that's exciting to me. You can really hit on something, and even if it's not for commercial purposes, even if their goal is to never sell a piece, for me, especially during COVID, art is therapy. It's taking all of those emotions and taking everything that's happening in the world and translating it.
Yes. Now, before we close, most
Yeah.
people, if they follow you on Instagram, are going to know you by a different name.
Yeah,
You don't
they
really
will.
tell your name. So can you tell us what it is, the gallery?
Yeah, so Gallery Pomona is Tina
Yeah.
Curtis. That's me. And initially, when I named my Instagram and my business, the idea in the long run is to actually have a gallery where
I was wondering about that.
I have artists who will be charged 0% commission to show in my gallery.
That's so exciting to look forward to.
Yeah, and the reason behind that is that having shown in galleries before, and understanding they have to keep the lights on, as long as I'm creating art and that is financially sustainable for me, I'm happy to support other artists and and have them in my Gallery Pomona one day. So there's a future thinking plan, but my art shows, my gallery exhibitions are all under the name Tina Curtis.
Oh, they are?
They are. Yes.
Okay, well, you stay here. I'm going to say bye and thank you for everyone coming
Thank you for having me.
and watching. And thank you so much as we share and listen. That's what we love to do, is talk about our artwork. But anyways, in March of 2020, I had a vision of starting the International Online Art Collective, which is a diverse group of artists from all around the world who value the power of art to inspire, provoke, and heal. And the power of this group is in connections just like this. And from these connections, this podcast was born, first interviewing artists of this group and then branching out to all different types of artists. And hey, I want to mention that I'll be hosting a virtual gathering to release my newest collection of artwork called Sales, Souls, and Sparkles. This solo show is coming up virtually to your laptop on February 20th of 2020. And what's so great about this is that it's virtual, so people can join me from around the globe. And if you want to join in on a fantabulous cultural experience, drop me a message and I will make sure that you get the link. And want to thank Tina again for joining
Thank
me.
you for having me.
Yeah, and don't go anywhere, Tina. I'm going to say goodbye to everyone here
Okay.
and in the broadcast.